Stitches Creates. Welcome to my Flosstube channel about counter cross stitch and the project bags I make. It is Monday, April 11th, and it is episode number 36. And next week is going to be an extra special episode because it will be my 1-year Flossiversary. So Ashley has promised that she will be back with me next week. She still feels like she hasn't stitched enough to show anything, and she doesn't want to just sit here. So, but I know she has a lot of haul, so she won't be just sitting here next week. But anyway, so if you're new, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you like and subscribe. Everyone who's coming back, thank you so much. I always appreciate your comments on the channel. Makes me feel great. And thank you for all the well wishes for my son. He continues to improve, gaining weight, eating like he always used to. His coloring is good. You know, life is good. So talking a little more about next week, be sure to come back next week, see next week's video. There are going to be some special giveaways for the 1-year anniversary. Please share my video. I'm going to put out a couple of special blurbs on my Insta stories and on my Facebook, not my Facebook page, on my Instagram page about it. I'd like as many people to stop by and subscribe and get in on the giveaways as possible. So we'll be talking more about that next week for the 1-year anniversary. Let's see. Other news. The Black Needle Society, if you are new, you may not know that I am a rep for the Black Needle Society. They make special retreat in a box and boxes. Just recently we've got, if you're a subscriber, there's a bi-monthly box, and we just got the steampunk box, which was awesome and amazing. And I have not started the pattern yet because I want to look for the Gloriana silks to go with it. There's only three fingers. Three. So I want to try to use them, and I think I have fabric for it because I have a stash and I just got more. But anyway, so Black Needle will be putting up for sale the Halloween boxes. And I say boxes. This year, instead of doing a countdown box where there's 31 gifts like they did last year, they decided to have 2 separate boxes, and it won't be a countdown box. There'll be 13 items in each box. The trick box is curated with the help of Athena, who works with Katie and Laura Landis, and it is horror Stephen King themed. They just announced today that the designer for that box will be the Witchy Stitcher. So if you like horror and you like the Witchy Stitcher's patterns, I kind of like some of their patterns. I haven't stitched any, and I'm not sure that I will, but I can appreciate their patterns, so that's really cool. The other box is the treat box, and that will be, they call it the Happy Halloween box. It is a happy box. It is all the light-hearted things, you know, candy and pumpkins and things like that, costumes, that the things that make Halloween fun and not scary. And the designer for that box will be the Frosted Pumpkin. So if you like either of those or both of those, if you bought the box last year, you received your link today to claim 1 or 2 boxes, 1 or both, I should say. Tomorrow, the link will go out for subscribers to the bi-monthly boxes, and then on the 13th, very appropriate, will be open to the general public. So that is not something you can use my code for. Now, if you're on the Black Needle Society's website and you happen to wander by the vault and see a past pattern or an item from a box that you really liked, then you can use my code Lynn5 and get 5% off your order. Also, while you're ordering, if you do decide to get both the trick and the treat box, you have to do it as 2 separate orders because of the shipping. They're 2 separate boxes. They cannot be combined into one box. If you're familiar, I don't have a box handy, but if you're familiar, you know, everything comes, they pack it all up, it's in the box. So they can't put items from a second box in it. The boxes are made, those are words. They're packed to fit those items. So you have to do it as 2 separate orders. It's 2 separate shippings. But my understanding is the boxes are $130. Then you add shipping on top. But the items are $165, maybe a little bit more, the value of them. So I have found that the boxes are always a great value. So there's that. I hope you go check it out. If you like Halloween, if you're a Halloween stitcher, go check it out. So I don't have a big life update today. Like I said, my son is doing well. Ashley's doing fine. Last night, Ashley and I went with my daughter and her mother-in-law and one of her friends to the Cincinnati Music Hall, which was built in 1878. It's a really beautiful historic building, and we got to see Itzhak Perlman play. If you're not familiar with him, he has been, he's a concert violinist. He has been performing since he was 13. He will be 77 this year. He's a polio survivor. When I was growing up, I remember him walking with crutches. And now he has a scooter that he drove on stage. He had a Stradivarius under one arm with his bow, and the other hand is driving the scooter up to the piano. He had a pianist with him who was also amazing, and we had the most fabulous seats. My daughter found them. And they said, oh, they're obstructed view. And we were like, oh, you know, do we want to try? And we figured, you know, for the price, because it was a third of the price of anything else in the music hall, we said, we're going there to hear him. If we can't see him, we can't see him. There was no obstruction. It was like he was right there, you know, playing for us. We could watch his fingers move. Oh man, if you're a musician, you know what I'm talking about. And especially if you're a violinist, you know. He hit those high notes, and on a violin, if you don't hit it right, it's pretty painful. And his high notes, every single one, no matter how high he went, was so sweet. And it was just, it was an experience. I am so happy we went. I came really close to not going because I had a migraine, and the medication took effect, thankfully, before we left, but it was wearing off by the time we were coming home. But he played 3 different pieces. He played a Handel, a Mozart, and then Max Bruch. And just amazing. And that was before intermission. And then after intermission, he came back, and for an hour he just picked what he wanted from his stuff, his pile of music, and he told jokes, and it was fabulous. So, well, it's a once in a lifetime thing, I think. So we were very blessed. And I'll put some pictures at the end with a video of what the music hall looks like. Okay, stitching, 10 minutes in, sorry. So, stitching this week, pretty good week for me. I did start the Flower Fairy by the Stitchy Princess. I am changing the colors, so I'm using white, of course, but her bodice and skirt is Ymir's Silk from Almond M&M's, and it is Twilight. I'm doing it in a blue. So this is what I've done so far. There's her wing all done, her bodice and her skirt. And the yellow, or the peach colored heart flowers on the bottom of her skirt, I'm actually going to do in yellow. So to get Ukraine colors in there. And I've got to play around a little bit. I haven't finished doing all the conversions that I want yet, but I'm liking the way it looks. And this is on a Fortnite fabric. Came this year. This was part of their I'm part of their Hopeless Romantic Club Fabric of the Month, and this is called Overcast. So it's kind of got purple, yellowy, blue, gray in there, and I think it looks kind of magical. So that is my flower fairy. I also had I was at Keepsakes stitching Saturday, and I had out doing some fill-in on my Hippocampus by Ingleside Inaginarium, and I'll put where he was last time, and this is where he is now. I've got his tail all filled in, and then I'll get back to working on more of the rest of the tail. This color here is his body, and the rest of his tail kind of comes down this way, and then we'll attach, and it'll be those colors. And then his upper body will be a little bit more of the horse body, will be a lighter color, will be more of this light blue. So I'm liking it. I love the fun yellow green, that neon. Also, while I was at Keepsakes, I put in some more time on my ink circles. I'm working on Tea Time. This was a present from the 614 Stitcher, and ink circles is the designer focus this month, for the month of April, with Sunshine Stitchers. And you can either do, for their designer focus, you can either do ink circles or long dog sampler. So this is where I was last time on Tea Time, and here is where I am now. I finished filling in the tea bag. I added, and I'm not really sure if they're supposed to be like lumps of sugar, or if they're supposed to be a bee, or I'm not really sure. But I added these guys, and then this little, I think it's a sugar bowl. So added a little more to that. And then lastly, I have a finish of sorts. The Stitching Book Club, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. As you know, all 3 parts are out, and I'm behind as far as that goes. And I'll put what the final pattern is going to look like. But I finished part 1. So this is where I was before, and here is where I am now. Now there is, I say I finished part 1. There are like a sprig of flowers on each side, but because it's got long stitches, I decided to wait just in case I have to move my Q-snap at all. I think I'm going to have to move it down just a little bit, and I didn't want the long stitches to get caught, so I'll put that in at the end. And there is some gold in between each of the letters, but I'm thinking I'm not going to put that in. We'll wait and see at the end what my thoughts are. But part 1 done. So now I can move on to part 2 and hopefully keep going and get my Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe finished. So that is what I've been working on stitching wise. Oh, and last week, if you've been following along, I have the Black Needle Society Challenge deck. My card for last week was Stitch on a Piece with Bones, and I was so tired last week when I filmed. I was just, all I could think was like a Halloween piece with skeleton. And Candy 614 Stitcher and Sarah from I Swear I'm Stitching both said, well, people have bones, so anything with a person on it, and of course an animal has bones. I'm like, oh yeah, duh. So I'm counting my Flower Fairy as my piece with bones. So, and of course my Hippocampus, he's got bones too. So this week, pick another card, and the challenge for this week will be to stitch on a piece with a flower. So that'll be easy because my Stitchy Princess definitely has flowers, the Flower Fairy. So I'll use that one again. So that's all my stitching. I need to get back to, I have not worked on my WIPGO for this month. One of my WIPGO pieces is Home of a Needleworker, and I've been meaning to get that back out again to work some more on that, so I need to do that too. I have some haul. I have talked about Nicholas Flamel, which is the name of the business. Tamas, Tamas, is the name of the man who is the fabric dyer in Hungary. And I told you a few weeks ago, he has been doing, using proceeds from his fabric sales to help Ukrainian refugees. He's gone to the border like 3 or 4 times. He bought a food truck and left it with a humanitarian aid organization. I mean, just doing so much. So right now he's got a family that is taking care of a herd of goats, and he's also got other animals that needed a refuge. He just got a dog that's badly injured, and there's a animal psychiatrist, I think he said, that is coming and working with the animals because, they're as terrified as humans with all the bombing and gunfire and everything else, and probably worse because they don't understand what's going on. We understand and it's terrible, but can you imagine being an animal and you just have no clue? So he's doing a lot of good work. So I purchased from him last time he put up, and I got 32 count, and it's called the Agatha Christie collection, and it's 2 pieces of fabric because of course I need more fabric. So that's the blue, and that's spot on. That's the color, is so pretty. Something a little different. I have a lot of blues, but that's a little different. And then this gray, charcoaly gray, so pretty. It feels so nice. It's really pretty. So I will put those away for something special. I picked up my last bit of needlework market haul, and that was My Happiness is Homemade cookbook. And if I can't show you the patterns because they're patterns, but different pages have, that one actually has it stitched up. So you get recipes, lots of patterns. Blue Flower has a pattern. Dirty Annie's has a pattern. I'm not sure. Put that pattern in. There's the code and the symbols and everything, but not. Oh, that's interesting. But lots of fun recipes. Poutini put in pretty one. Annie B's. Needlework Press. Some of these are tiny and I don't have my glasses on. The Nebby Needle. Sweet Wings Studio. Fox and Rabbit. Ooh, that's really pretty. Karen and Bren, that's really pretty. Like to watch my channel. But so many good recipes. Rami's Creation. La-di-da. Ooh, and a roll-up ornament. That's really interesting. By Rainbow Gallery. So, you can see lots of people submitted recipes, and lots of designers also submitted patterns. I'm looking at Teresa Koget's crock pot dressing. And a pretty pattern by Teresa. I haven't finished looking at this, you know, which I shouldn't be doing while I'm on here with you. So, really nice. Other haul that I got was at Keepsakes. Sometimes people will drop things off that they don't want anymore. And, you know, for their stitching, we get first dibs looking through. So last weekend, and I forgot to show this, last weekend I got Heart and Hand. It's a wee one called America. So that's very pretty. And then this weekend, which this was amazing. Whoever dropped it off, I think Lenny said that they had a store and that they were just cleaning it out. They didn't have the store anymore. So this one came up and I yelled mine because this is something I've been wanting to stitch. She believed she could, so she did. Now when I'm going to do it, but I do want to do that one. So that is all my haul. Project bags, dropped some off at Stitch's quilt store in Glendale, and that's something I wanted to share with you. I know that on the StitchCon Facebook page, people have asked about quilt stores. Stitch's is the quilt store that I make project bags for, and then Becky sells them. She gives me the she picks out fabric, and you know, it's different than what I would normally pick out. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I'm like, but it works, and you know, if she sold them, people love them. So it is, you know, she knows her customer base. But if you're going to StitchCon, Stitch's is 5 minutes from the convention center. It's kind of like around the corner, and you could walk there. It's like a mile maybe to walk if you were interested, and it's not too hot in June. So I highly recommend Stitch's. There is Homegrown Home Sewn, which if you are a quilter and you get some of the national magazines, I know last summer Homegrown Home Sewn was not recognized, that's not the right word, but there was a whole article, a whole layout on homegrown, home sewn, and they are wonderful in there too. They're really nice. But those are not, they're not too far from the convention center. Stitches is definitely the closest in walking distance. Homegrown, home sewn, I think, is about 15 minutes maybe from the convention center. So they're definitely worth a visit. There is a quilt store next to Keepsakes. I'll just say not my favorite, and we'll let it go with that. So March bags went out. June bags will go on sale probably after StitchCon. And there'll be more June, July. Kind of like March was March, April. And I believe everyone has them, so I can talk about them a little more. I did kind of a combination Asian theme and bunnies for April, just in case I didn't get them out. So it was, you know, an oriental theme bunny fabric that kind of went with Asian Pacific Heritage Month. June, July, think summer and water. That's my clue. I might say something else later, but, you know. And then it'll be September, October. So, should I say Hispanic Heritage Month? Let it go with that. Anyway, and I also have my December fabric. It will be a Christmas theme for November. I'm going to try to, like I did last year, get it out in November before shipping gets crazy. So that is that for project bags. Busy all the time. What else is new? I hope you have a good week. Please come back next week for my 1-year anniversary. Like I said, Ashley will be with me. We'll have some fun giveaways. And yeah, so have a good week.